Hey, you know what? I pushed the button a little early this morning, I'm not gonna lie. Not going to lie. Oh, I should probably go live on TikTok too, right? That's the trip. I get it, I get it. We're all over the place. Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. And I am your host. My name is Jared. And a lot of people have asked me about my recent interview in Mum's the Word. We're gonna keep our mouth shut for now and kind of let it play out. And I still would like to be a football coach, and so I'm going to professionally keep my fucking mouth shut. Even though I should fucking write a book. I think I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on this one. I think that's what the advice is going to be from my peers in the coaching community is to just keep my mouth shut. Don't say anything at all. What up, what up? I did reach out though, so I'm not all in my head. I did contact the coaching community that I'm in and ask for advice. Um, so yeah, listen to a little Edwin Stars War to get us started every day. That's what we do. Listen to War. Um, if you follow, I always want to maintain a consistent theme of like starting the show with a link to music, like before the news, as opposed to like me sitting behind a graphic and twiddling my thumbs and further doom scrolling while you sit there and wait. But yeah, I don't. One of the things that you don't catch me doing here is you don't catch me asking for love. Okay, so one of the things that you're going to have to decide is to look beyond this pale veil and just decide to care about the individual and whether that affects your willingness and ability to like and follow and subscribe and share and all those that shit. That has to be all intrinsically motivated by you. You have to make a decision. I support this person, and the best way to do that, like, share, subscribe, follow, all those things. I'm not going to stop talking about the news to do that. I don't want to do that. I know that there are some of you like, Jared, but that's what you have to do. And it's like, no, no, baby girl, you don't understand. If we get too big, it would get infiltrated and shut the fuck down. So do you see how it's like this has to be something that you decide internally and not something that I continually beg for, right? It has to just be like part of what it does, right? Sometimes my sentences sound purty, and so maybe that's a good motivator for you to like it when you're like, oh, okay. So always want to start with, right? Hey, thank you to all of you who show up every day right alongside me on the other side of that machine you're on there. You are what makes this show. One of the things I think's awesome about what we got going on here is that unlike every other show I've ever been to, the only way I'm ever going to interact with that person's probably afterward, right? Probably really never before. Okay. Um, But typically, the only way you're ever going to interact with someone is afterward, or the comments are curated. Right now, I will admit, if you're a prick in my comments, I'll block you. But that's life. Like you have to deal with that, not I. Okay? There are some people that are so desperate for an audience that they'll allow anyone to sit in their audience and do anything because it's another body. It's another body. But that's all of that you are is a body. You got to like prove otherwise, right? And you typically do that with your behavior. So when you act out like a child and say, pay attention to me, it's not your show. And I don't go on your show and try to be the center of attention. Why are you doing it in my comment section, TikTok? Some of y'all like to dance in my comment section, and it's like, what you dancing for? You could be having a conversation with a father like figure, right? Who can actually sit and talk politics at length, right? Without really pissing anybody off, because I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm a fucking socialist. I want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing. And I'm pro equality and pro union. In fact, I'm in a union. I'm in a union and I don't work a union job. It's called Working America. And you motherfuckers asked for a protest. You literally said, Jared, once or twice a month is not enough. We need daily organized protest. That's what you asked for. That's what you said. I said it. Elvis asked me a question on TikTok. Tom Brady v. Patrick Mahomes, who's the best? The best what? The best what? Something that you have to understand that is that I'm a lifetime athlete, okay? And also a smart kid. And when you're a lifetime athlete and a smart kid and you've studied things like data analytics at Purdue University, the first thing that I'll tell you is team championships are not an individual statistic. So when you are asking me who's the GOAT, just understand that I'm not even thinking about how many championships that the teams that you were on won, because those are team statistics. Those are coaching statistics. Those are not player statistics, because you wouldn't blame a player for a loss, right? Because you're a fucking adult, right? And you understand basic math. There's like 22 people on the field at one time. It's probably really only one or two guys' fault that shit goes right or wrong. Yeah. Johnny said, go Timberwolves. I blame QBs for wins and losses. Do you see how you have two problems here? I'm just talking shit, my man. I personally think the Pacers are going to uh, roadmap the entire NBA and nobody saw it coming, or they lose a tough series to the T Wolves. So it's a win-win. Getting to the NBA Finals, that's good. So when you ask me who the GOAT is between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, and I tell you up front that team championships do not factor here. Team championships do not factor here. I'm reading. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is 3-2 in Super Bowls. See, so that would be like the first statistic people point out, and I'm just saying that that's not a relevant statistic. Um, I know that that literally is breaking your brain right now. Okay, but statistically, and again, I'm just one of those people. I can fucking hate someone and say that like Patrick Mahomes has achieved approximately half of what Tom Brady has achieved. So good luck to Patrick Mahomes. You got a tall motherfucking mountain to climb in terms of what Tom Brady achieved. And I will also say late last season he looked more like you can't stand Mahomes. Now see, I don't like Mahomes because his wife is MAGA. So, and I'm sure Tom's MAGA too. Anybody that you notice that stays out of politics, they ain't no friend of mine. You know what I'm talking about? Those people like, oh, I don't get into politics. I don't talk politics. Oh, you don't want everybody to know that you're a bigot. Cool. But I mean, if you are, those are the people that lost their asses as this administration got rolling. So they probably ain't saying shit because they ain't got shit. What up, Crush? Now, one of the things I mean to do like every morning, and I never get it done in the right order. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this today. Are you ready for this? Y'all are about to hear some shit, and you'll be like, "Wow, it's been a while since you did that, Jared." Yeah, because we just fucking straight up forget to do this shit like every day. If you want to find me elsewhere, don't. But also, I'm on Blue Sky. So part of what we're doing here, right, is we're sort of like it's like we're a radio show, right, where every day it's samey, right, has sort of a samey feel, right, but we're getting our messaging down, right? What is our messaging, right? If you are being radicalized, have been radicalized as a result of what is going on right now, there are a range of behaviors you could implement. Okay. A lot of people are going to start with what are the non active or the inactive behaviors I could implement that show my disdain with what is going on in the world. And I know that many of you wrongly think it's engaging with your detractors and spats and making content about each other. But in reality, it's get the fuck off of Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Messenger, Twitter, and stop shopping on fucking Amazon. Those are the sort of floors of behavior patterns that I want to see out of people who are part of a planned resistance is reduce your footprint. Okay. Hey, the thing about it is, one thing I can't stand is when someone tries to accept themselves, right? I deleted those applications, don't use them. Might log in every now and then just to clear my notifications, and then I'm not posting content there. I'm not spending time there doom scrolling, none of that shit. If you are spending your time on an application, you are a consumer. Okay? If it's part of your business or that's your job, that's a whole nother animal. Stop pretending like shit isn't about you. Okay? But the biggest thing is, a lot of people need a fucking reason. They're like, Jared, why should I get rid of, oh, I don't know, let's pick one, Facebook Messenger. And I'll tell you, the first reason that I would advocate you eliminate Facebook Messenger from your devices is because when you install that device, install that app, part of the permissions group, so there's like a group of things that you got to allow that app to do and it comes installed on most devices, by the way. I just want to point that out. Okay? Messenger has access to your microphone and your speakers so it can hear you and record you without you knowing. Also, it has access to your GPS so it could give away your location to, I don't know, ICE. And then also, one of the super like, that's fucked things that I learned this at Purdue University studying data analytics, taking programming classes from my professor, by the way. We watched this whole like expose on Facebook Messenger. It was actually pretty shocking. It actually fed part of my motivation, right? Is like, hey, I was literally paying to go to college. And my Purdue professor showed us this video is probably pretty hard to find of them completely taking down Messenger, taking it apart, and saying this is GPS availability to your local PD or ICE. It has access to your microphone and camera without you having the screen on. And it also takes the conversations you have private and it uses that to influence all the other Meta apps. And that is super invasive. And I know you're sitting there listening to me and you're like, oh, that's not a big deal. We've had our data stolen 100 fucking times. Yeah, about that. I think there are times when someone that we've now been doing this for over 6 months sits here pretty regularly, tells you, like, get that shit the fuck off your devices. You're giving away your position. Stop talking on social media about every movement of yours. You know, when I was on active duty in the Marine Corps during a time of war, you know what we weren't allowed to talk about on social media? Troop location, troop movement, troop activity, right? You need to start implementing some of this shit in your life. Stop announcing your departure and arrival and taking pictures when you first get somewhere or right before you leave. Although taking pictures right before you leave is smart. And then don't post them until you get somewhere safe. But too many people. Somebody said we should use Signal instead. Clearly, or you should just be prepared to live with a lack of privacy, right? Like you should just probably eliminate the messaging app that's the most invasive, and then the next most invasive, WhatsApp. And even though it's end to end, it's so totally you could totally break into that. So somebody did say Signal. I couldn't tell if that's a joke or not, but to me it's funny. So yeah. So while we're chopping it up, remember, let's say you're like Jared. I'm disabled. I'm not. Okay, thank you, B Taylor. I was like I give up. I thought that was a joke. Uh, like I'm trying to read your words and ascertain that you aren't that guy. God damn it. Right? Because you know there is in every audience. There's someone like, yeah, why won't you just use Signal? Why won't you just fucking do that? You can delete your conversations, right? One of the things I want to point to, my broken clock is right twice a day. Okay. But Jimmy Carville is saying, so Kristi Noem wants to create a reality show of immigrants seeking asylum. It's also backed by this administration, S&M. I mean, obviously they're going to try to make money any way they can. Okay, cruelty is the point, right? So yes, Kristi Noem wants to create a reality show about immigrants seeking asylum. Christopher said, "Hello, handsome." You know what? Every now and then, if I didn't have this fucking zit in the middle of my forehead, I'd take that as a compliment. You could very well be talking to the zit in the middle of my forehead. But Jimmy Carville is correct. Okay. Despite low polling, Democrats are absolutely whipping ass. Again, I want to make sure that when we talk about um, the Democrats, that we understand that it's just facts that 100 elected Democrats take money from AIPAC, Israel, and that there are 54 elected Democrats that are part of a Blue Dog Caucus that vote conservatively despite being elected Democrats. And then every single person in the Republican Party took money from Russia. Every single person that is an elected official. Mm-hmm. Christopher said Carville's whistling past the graveyard. Yes. That's what I said. Broken clocks right twice a day. That was almost an ageist joke on my part. Um, but yeah. Indivisible hosting a protest. So yeah, a lot of people have. I mean, let me get my little message out, and then we'll get back to the news real quick. Okay. So people have asked, you know, take on disabling Face ID. We was if you are going to leave your house in protest, right? If you're gonna leave your house and go protest, uh, if you get apprehended, they can put you in handcuffs, take your phone out of your pocket, turn the screen on, put your face up to your phone, and get access to your phone. And if you think ICE isn't going to do that, also for a lot of people, they detained Hassan. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, he got asked if his content is anti-Trump. Yeah. So, also, a lot of people, if you plug it into the wall and plug in your phone and you use Face ID a lot of times when you just plug it in, it unlocks the screen, y'all. So, despite what you got going on, so like one of the things is like generally be more careful, right? I personally see what the Marine Corps taught me to do was threat assess. When I come up on a big ass group of people, what I'm generally doing is checking my left, checking my right, looking perimeter, trying to see if there are police officers that are like circling the mob, right? And if there are, you naturally should probably not be a part of that mob currently being fucking circled by police, because that's dead ass obvious they're gonna round y'all up. What the fuck do you think they're doing, right? So I look around, and it just happened like I went to the veterans protest. I went to like several protests, so I'm gonna get them all confused. But there was a protest after that. There was one on March 14th. I went to that. Then there was one on April 5th. I went to that. And there was one on da 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 da. I went to that too. Okay, been a little over a week since I've been to a protest. So I'm getting a little antsy. Okay, but I went up to these protests, and I was looking. Where's 12? Right? Oh, okay. A couple cops sitting over here in their cars, not at all bothered during the veterans protest. By the way, they not only did they not want shit, but most of the people is there is fucking broken and disabled people. That is like, are you fucking kidding me? They're talking about privatizing VA healthcare. Like, you got to be shitting me. People fucking crying in front of the state house. Like, oh my god, it's the saddest shit you ever seen in your life. Vietnam veterans flipping their fucking flags. Desert Storm vets flipping flags upside down, a fucking woman in a uniform re-entering service flipping her fucking American flag upside down. It was the absolutely worst thing you've ever seen in your life, and the pigs sat in their fucking cars the whole time. Second protest I went to, much fucking bigger, ended up being like 5,000 people. And I was looking for 12. And you know what? There weren't. They weren't in the same spot, and they also weren't circling the fucking mob. There were people with yellow vests on who, again, could very well be plainclothes and police officers, but given their slighter frames, they weren't. They're much more likely fucking part of the organization, right? Yeah, fuck yeah, VLA, FDT. Okay. Um, I don't know if we went over this before, but here's video where Israel admits that all that shit about tunnels under hospitals is garbage. To the surprise of fucking no one, by the way. Apparently the Heritage Foundation says the end of democracy is July 4th, 2026. Doge and Religious Freedom Task Force are both set to end. And I don't remember, again, I don't remember, I have a bad memory. If we talked about this yesterday, here's Kristi Noem getting pushed uh, about the MS-13 tattoos on Kilmar Abrego Garcia's hands. And I just want to point out, like, as someone with tattoos, that I can't even get in the neighborhood of thinking Kilmar Abrego Garcia's hand tattoos are symbols for MS-13. I can't get there. Do you get what I'm saying? I can't look at the actual tattoos, not the photoshopped image that Donald Trump thinks is real, the actual one, and be like, yeah, there's nothing on his hands that symbolizes that at all. Okay? Let this be a lesson, moms. Don't let your kids get knuckle tattoos. I hope he just gets returned. And that joke is about someone that survived. Same. Ocean said I've got a black widow on my arm. I worry about that. Fortunately for me, I, like many white people, I have Japanese kanji on both forearms that doesn't mean exactly what I want it to mean, but it's in the fucking neighborhood, so I just look illiterate in another language. So, but now that I've told you to get off of Twitter, right? There are a couple places to go. So pointing you towards Blue Skies, one, and then Reddit. Okay, so Blue Sky for the social interaction, right? And then what you'll find is I'm really only interested in a few topics on Reddit. I'm trying not to replace the doom scrolling on Twitter with the doom scrolling on Reddit. Okay? It says as much in adventure and mental health. What was it supposed to mean, Jay? So yeah, on both. So like that, I got on both. Fucking, I don't even know how to fucking turn my arm like that. This is such a wild spot to be in. Yeah. So on both forearms, one says embrace change. So nobody asked, but I kind of grew up like the all American kid, right? Church every Sunday, Boy Scouts, sports, right? Real good student, right? Sat with my parents on Sunday in the pews at church. You know what I mean? Um, and then I went to college, and everything fell apart. My parents got a divorce. The FAA went on a hiring freeze. So the job I thought I was gonna do my whole life, because I saw how much money my dad made. My dad made six figures for 30 years. And so I thought, as an air traffic controller, I thought like, hey, I would want to provide that for like a family. And so I remember being like 9 years old and being like, I want to be a pilot, but like I wouldn't mind doing what my dad does. I mean, makes really good money. Like being an air traffic controller is not fucking bad, right? And then I got to Purdue with that on my brain. I went to Purdue to be a pilot, to be an air traffic controller. And again, it's the same thing I was telling the guy I was just interviewing with for a job in football. Um, Even though I played football since third grade, right? Even though I played basketball as long as I can remember, I never in a million years thought I would get an opportunity to play at Purdue. I never thought those things would have happened in a million lifetimes with the same upbringing. I get to Purdue and sports are not a reality for me, for example. And instead, what did it cost you, Thanos? Fucking everything. My parents got a divorce after my freshman year of college, and the FAA went on a hiring freeze. So, literally, the job that I went to school thinking in my brain, this is probably what I'm going to end up doing, is being an air traffic controller like my dad does. Okay. Obviously, I got to Purdue and found out as a result of studying aviation history that, oh, my dad was a scab. So this is fucking horrible. Probably never doing that job, right? Just on principle, for the record, in case anybody wonders what's the real reason you dropped out. Well, once you find out that your own old man crossed the fucking picket line and is a union member, so like, what kind of fucking hypocrite, right? Um, it's just that's just fucking bizarre. So, what did it cost you, Thanos? Everything. My parents got a divorce. The job I was going to school for was dematerialized. In fact, you know what's funny? When you're in that field, air traffic control, you get contacted when they have space for you because you have to go to Oklahoma City for, I think it's a 90-day program, and then you get placed. So you also have to kind of be. I think you also have to apply to work in several places that you're willing to move, right? So I went to Purdue thinking like I'll be like an air traffic controller just like my dad, and within within 18 months of being enrolled as a college student, the FAA went on a hiring freeze. And for the record, I didn't hear anything about that because I have hearing loss. Har har. Until 12 years later, I got contacted about a job. So if you wondered how long that hiring freeze affected the job market, 12 years. So pats self on back for not spending an additional $50,000, $60,000 and just go ahead and get that fucking degree from Purdue. You might need it one day. No, that job never happened, despite my education. So not only did my family get divorced, job dematerialized, but what had happened was uh, I I stayed at school over the summer. And so understand that if you went to a big school too and you didn't stay in the summer, then you really probably don't relate to this at all. But during the summer, they have to update facilities and clean facilities, and so they'll shut down whole buildings. For example, the summer after my or summer before my freshman year of college, they shut down the COREC to clean it. And I had developed a habit of working out and playing basketball every day. And was actually for in the best shape of my life at like 18, 19 years old. And they closed the gym down one day. And this is around the time within a year period of my parents getting a divorce. They closed the COREC one day, and there was a sign on the door that said, if you really want to work out, go to the Intercollegiate Athletic Facility, the IAF, which is this big building next to Ross-Ade Stadium on Purdue's campus. Now, I'm telling you, I've told this story 100 times. But I tell people, if you asked me in my mind what the entrance looked like, I would have told you the doors would be closed. There'd be no door handles. There'd be fucking cameras. A metal gate would like slide up, and you'd walk through that. Like it's very closed off to the public. They don't let anyone in. And when I went there that day, I took the bus over there. Went over there that day. Them doors was open, wide, outward, like a fucking horse barn. And I walked up to them doors, and a nice little girl came out with a clipboard and a tennis skirt on and asked me for my student ID, and I gave it to her. I was like, "Oh, here." And she's like, "What are you doing over here?" And I said, "Well, I came over here to lift weights because they closed down the co-rec to clean it." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Do you play sports?" And I was like, "No. I'm a freshman. I just got here. I've been here for 5 minutes." And she said, "Do you want to?" And of course, I was like, "Of course I want to play fucking sports. What are you talking about?" And she, and she was like, "Do you want to play football?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I do." And she was like, "Okay, here." And she handed me a packet of information. And long story short, like some years you're flush with people, you have way more people than you need, and some years you don't. And that's every team. And it just so happened that they had just the year before I went, they had just been to a Rose Bowl. Drew Brees. I don't know if anybody recalls Drew Brees going to the Rose Bowl at Purdue. This was more than 20 years ago. So the next year, they're going to be a little light on numbers. And that passes all forms of logic, right? Yes. After you have a fucking Rose Bowl season, everybody graduates or moves the fuck on. Yes. But the next year, dude, they were still pretty talented in my eyes, and I was part of the program, so I could fucking tell you, Jacques Reeves, Nico Kutavides, Evan Goldsberry, uh, Kyle Orton, uh, Brandon Kirsch won 2 fucking Grey Cups as a CFL quarterback. Those were the remnants, so it's not like they were bad. But those are and Chris Lacey was probably like my closest friend that was on Purdue's football team. So I have a litany of people that I can fucking name drop that'll tell you Jared Malott was part of what we were doing at Purdue at that time. Okay. So what happened was, and only as a, like, I would even call myself a walk-on. That's disgracing fucking walk-ons because I was a quarterback. So I didn't get treated how many people get treated and I've noticed this, by the way. I've noticed this because I was also in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war, and my story isn't one where I'm like, "Oh, and they oppressed me and treated me horribly." Oh, it's not that. I was a fucking grown man on active duty, and I got treated like a grown man. And if you didn't get treated like a grown man, that's a fucking you problem. Same thing applies when I walked onto the football team. First of all, I was made to be told that I was a fraud. FRAUD up front. You're not a real walk on because I was a quarterback and because there was a full quarterback room and I didn't need to be there. In fact, I was in the fucking way. I could tell you that as an adult. Like they were very nice to me. They had no business doing that. And then I didn't get to dress for the games. I didn't get a uniform. None of that shit. After my freshman year football season, Joe Tiller reached out to my high school football program and requested a highlight film and got one, and he called me to his office. He's a sweet fucking man, rest in fucking peace. And we sat and watched my high school film, and he laughed his ass off and said they clearly never recruited anyone from Mooresville because they sent a 2-hour highlight across all 4 seasons. Your athletic department did. And so we sat down and like watched the shit, and he was like, "Oh, maybe we should have recruited you to play tight end. You got really good hands." And he was like, "Why don't you gain, 40 pounds of muscle, and maybe you could play tight end for me?" And I really gave it they call it the old college try. I really did that shit. I was only like 220 pounds, and I can promise you, if I was trying to play tight end at the Division I level at 220 pounds, I would have literally gotten disintegrated. I would not be sitting here telling you this story. And how do I know that? Because I almost got dieted at 245. I could also tell you, as someone who actually put on pads at the Division One level and got cracked by none other than Nico Kudavides, uh, even at fucking 245, I thought he rearranged my organs. Yep. For days, my whole body hurt. And at the end, and I didn't get to, again, second year of college, didn't get a uniform, didn't get a dress the whole fucking year, and they got to a bowl game. And my bookend of my time at playing football at the next level, it starts how it ended. Actually, they needed people to go to the bowl game because there are, of course, going to be guys that are going to get drafted that aren't going to play. There's guys that are injured. And the thing about it was, if I had, again, to tell this story 1,000 fucking times, the reason I didn't go is because they wanted me to pay couple $1,000, and it was for uniforms and a hotel for like the week of the bowl game. And I'm a young, dumb kid. Looking back on it, y'all, pretty sure you just go stand on the fucking sideline in that uniform that the school has made that you had to fucking pay for. Sure. Just go stand on that fucking sideline, and I think it was in Georgia. Okay? Or South Carolina. Or maybe that's who they played. It was a long fucking time ago, right? So I didn't do that. I talked to some people, and my mom told me, I'll give you the money if you do anything else. And she just told me one of the things I don't want my son to do is get into the habit of buying friends or buying membership, right? That's why I didn't join a fraternity. It's also why you have no fucking clue who I am, because when presented with pay money and it will result in something, I think that would have been like year 3, year 4 with a program. Potentially, Jared gets to play college football and actually makes a name for himself, right? Instead of that, what happened was that it triggered me, right? And instead of going to the bowl game, I looked for something else to do. Like I was lost. Like what I was doing wasn't the right thing. And again, this isn't a story about drugs or some crazy shit, although I smoke hella weed. Don't get that twisted. Okay? Um, but what happened was I found like club volleyball, which had a much lower cost, but they played a full Big Ten schedule and traveled in the same fucking buses. And we were actually really good, won the Big Ten. Like, I had a fucking good time playing club volleyball. Actually, to be really completely honest with you, they smelled better. Okay? And I was also on the ski and snowboard club, and I was able to balance a ski and snowboard team, and I was able to balance doing those things. And yes, after I left the football program, Joe Tiller, on my way out, he was like, I want you to be a part of this, but I'm not putting you on the field unless you're like 260 pounds. And he was like, and if you can't get to 260 muscular, you need to get to 215, 220 or less and play basketball. And so I went and talked to the basketball program and tried out for the basketball program. And I didn't make it. So again, I want to point out that none of my story about playing college sports is about me like playing. It's about I got a really good SAT score when I was in high. Why am I being restricted? What did I say? That doesn't make any sense. What did I say? We just got restricted. As you could tell, too much truth, right? And it breaks shit. I don't know. I I guess because I'm not lying. Because I think I've often sat with myself and thought, dude, you could totally make some shit up. Nobody would ever check on you. They would just believe whatever fuck you say. It doesn't really matter. Fortunately for me, though, I kind of like refuse to do that shit. I would much rather just tell the truth. It's a way better story, actually. The truth is a way better story. Oh, that's why we got restricted drugs. I made drug references. Drug references. I said Smoke Helly. Hmm. Yeah, that's why like half the people left. But yeah, I want to make sure I. That's why I got Embrace Change tattooed on my arm after the first year, uh, being like you're a fraud, you're not really a walk on, because I was a quarterback and I basically just stood the fuck around. Um, I went from like that to uh, being told like be a part of the program, gain a bunch of weight, and and work into the tight end rotation, and you'll play. Uh, and I got the tattoo that said "Embrace Change." Right, that tattoo tracks. Right, that tattoo makes sense right here. I got "Embrace Change" on my right forearm, and then I came home from the Marine Corps and got within 90 days of being home from the Marine Corps, I got a tattoo on my other forearm because I kept having conversations with people that I care about. And for the record, most of these people have not spoken to me in 20 years. But I kept having conversations with people when I came home from the Marine Corps like, why the fuck did you do that? You're so fucking smart. Why would you do that shit? Would you Why would you go put yourself in danger like that? Like what the That was conversations I had for years with people that I knew. And again, these are also people that haven't like spoke to you since, right? And so I got take chances tattooed on my other fucking forearm as a sort of a reminder that you got to kind of embrace change. And then you're going to make some fucking decisions in your life that are going to baffle people. And what will you say? Life is not the same without the roll of a dice, right? It's just that's the reason for my tattoos. I don't know if I've ever told anyone like the full story, but yeah, I got one when my life was sort of in a great state of change. Hmm. Now, is that what it actually says on my arm? No. Mm-mm. Nope. That is not what that shit says. Did I actually have someone that could read kanji help me develop those? Yes. Is it exact? No, and it's close. Because you can like take a picture and it'll tell you what the symbols mean and shit. Yeah. Mhm. I'm pretty sure. I could be lying. Maybe I took a picture and somebody told me. I don't know. But yeah, that's the story about tattoos. Mhm. Embrace change, take chances. And like I said, a lot of people's view, like how they perceive being on active duty in the Marine Corps infantry, being part of the tip of the spear. Um, it was the best shape I was ever in. It's the cleanest environment I ever lived in. The work that I was doing was the most relevant, like the preparation was most relevant. Yes, it was a lot of like physical activity. Hmm. But man, it sure beats being in an office. I will say that. It sure beats being in an office. A lot of times, I think a lot of veterans find it that way. The field wasn't all that bad. The bush wasn't all that bad. Can't really say bush now, but because we burnt the universe. But yeah. Again, one of the things that we've kind of done here is we've left Twitter behind, and how I've sort of replaced Twitter and the reception of the sort of news that you get, right? Instead of doom scrolling Twitter, I'm on Reddit and Blue Sky. And again, I don't really doom scroll anymore. And if there's one behavior you pick up off me that's like healthy, okay? I don't sit around and like compare myself to others. I don't feel the need to fucking do that. Yeah. Well, Zeke, they've got an app. They have Skylight, and you just can't go live on Skylight. So just know, if you're on TikTok here and you're regular, you might want to go up here, go to YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. The reason I say that is because the moment Blue Sky offers lives, that's curtains for the TikTok. I have no need for this. Hmm. Yeah, I would be live on Blue Sky. Hmm. It's the protocol. It's important. The control over the ownership of your own material is important. The being transferable is important. I mean, they're already off to a heck of a start. They just got to get to the point where you can broadcast live there. Hmm. So we posted a couple links to the subreddits that this channel, this show regularly references. We spoke, in the first hour, we kind of talked about um, the Great Tech Rebellion, right? How if you're not really feeling protesting, you could just get rid of all of these apps off of your phone. That's going to make a dent. Okay. And then also, if you feel like you got to move your feet, that's kind of one of the things that I've noticed that I am lately. I'm kind of restless. Does that make sense? I think that you can go to Protest Finder USA R50501 or Mayday, right? Because again, people said they needed a daily protest, okay? Well, here's 90 days organized daily protests, mostly, yes, Washington, D.C., a different issue every day, but mostly with the same theme. And this is what people asked for. This is exactly what people said has to happen in order for your movement to oust a despot. Is you have to consistently show them a crowd that is against them, right? And for the record, Mayday movement's doing that every day, with or without you. And understand, the people that are the naysayers are just the people not doing shit. Okay? Yeah, I've been super restless, can't sit down lately. So one of the things we try to do here is we try to point you in the right point the resistance in the right direction, right? So here's a link to a calendar. Calendars are useful, yeah. Helps plan stuff. You'll see Sunday on the left, Saturday on the right, and the weekdays in between. Okay. So where we are today is Friday, the 16th of May. No protests today or tomorrow. That's good. I gotta work. And then there's a Save Our Trees protest on Sunday. There's also, and that's again, this is outside of Mayday. So we shared the Mayday org. If you want to participate in that, if you're able, do that. Also, here's a calendar otherwise that says there's a Save Our Trees protest on Saturday, a Quest for Democracy protest on Monday. I'm sorry, Sunday. The Save Our Trees protest is on Sunday. The Quest for Democracy protest is on Monday. And then, hey, on the 24th, so a week from tomorrow, May 24th, is the Veterans Defending Democracy protest. And 25th, so next Saturday, Sunday, next Saturday, Sunday, Veterans Defending Democracy protest and a Free Palestine protest. And you need to check locally to figure out if that's going on where you are. Okay? And these are all organized protests. Again, I showed you exactly where we're going, right? And keep in mind, 50501, I'm pretty sure they have a website even. Yeah, 5050.1. So again, people were looking for legitimate ways to participate in the resistance that aren't just deleting a bunch of apps off your phone. Okay? Well, how about adding a couple of applications to your phone? How about updating the Goods Unite Us app? Okay? GUU in your Apple store. Okay? The Goods Unite Us app. This will help you direct your dollar. Okay? This will help you direct your dollar. Goods Unite Us. You also need to download the Five Calls app. Who screams mega? Download the Five Calls app. This is so you can just use an app on your phone. It has like built-in scripts when stuff goes on, so you can contact your representatives and leave them a voicemail. Mm-hmm. It is the nonviolent way to participate in resistance, protest, boycott, strike. Mm-hmm. Eliminate these applications from your devices. Stop being a consumer. Have you ever tried not being a capitalist? That's what I would generally recommend, you know. Yeah, I want to point out, somebody did point this out to me. Did you notice that Donald Trump went on this like Middle East trip where like human rights is like I mean human rights is a major deal in many places, but particularly in like the Middle East, and they didn't talk about that shit at all while Donald Trump was there. He was signing some fucking deals, right? He was making some splashy shit going on. Yeah, but the thing about it is people act like socialism is like a veil or that it's going to be like a great change to your life, right? All that you're going to notice in socialism is that you pay less in taxes, your rent doesn't continue to go up, things that create interest are poo-pooed, right? People tell you don't get something that has a bunch of interest. My advice to you as someone who works in finance is avoid unsecured debt at all costs. All of it is awful. If you're going to buy a car or buy a house, those are great investments. Other than that, stop it. Stop taking fucking second mortgages. Stop taking HELOCs. Stop taking payday loans, personal loans. Okay? Don't take public student loans. You need you want loans that you could work with one day. And know that your debt's gonna get bought and fucking sold. Bought and fucking sold. So yeah, people act like their business is gonna fail. Do you know what's gonna scream? Your economy. Why? Because socialism puts money back in the consumer pocket. What is the number one reason that you don't go do shit? Because you ain't got the money to do it. What if you didn't have to pay for healthcare? What better yet, here's a better thing. What if your employer didn't have to pay for your health care, what do you think they would pay you if they didn't also have to pay for your fucking health care? And again, some companies don't. And that's why you vote, is so that we're not in this position. And think about like socialism. Socialism, all it's saying is we need to inform our audience of what it is, and ultimately we do this every day. I am pro equality, right? As opposed to like this anti DEI bullshit, right? Like I'm on team Harvard. I don't know about anybody else. Okay. And then pro union, right? Because it's not your employer is going to give you more money and better benefits. It's your union's going to negotiate for better pay and benefits. That's how it's been working. The problem in the United States is that unions have gotten less popular going on like 7, 8 decades now. Okay. And this is as a result of corporations union busting, disincentivizing you to unionize. Mm-hmm. So understand that I'm a syndicalist socialist, which means I believe in the power of unions. And I think, you know what? You know who would make an ideal political leader? And the reason this is because I don't. People always talk about being a gamer, right? When shit's popping off, you'll want me on your team. I'm a gamer. Actually, what the science says is you don't rise to the occasion. Actually, you fall to your level of competency. I learned that from a Marine Corps sniper that I work with now. Okay? So it's not because you're fucking awesome, actually. It's because you're competent. That's why it feels so natural for you. Mm-hmm. So when we talk about socialism and like we want to eliminate healthcare costs. Hey, that's a few $100 in your pocket every month. Hey, I think the socialist economic theory says things like rent, interest, and tax are derivative of your labor, and that we should elect people who say and plan to do things like reduce tax, interest, and rent. Rent control is a great example. That's a socialist thing where you cap people's ability to raise your rent. What's up, Bob? It's actually not a show if Bob's not in it. Bob and Al are here, so the universe is right again. It's because what they do is they try to just say socialism as an economic construct versus capitalism. Capitalism wins, free market wins. But here's the thing about socialism: socialism can centralize, decentralize, and have a free market economy. So it's kind of a shitty argument to reject socialism on the construct of the socialist economic theory. And it's like, right, but in a socialist economy, you could have a free market, a decentralized market, a centralized market, right? Like you have all those things that we have now. What's killing us is private equity. Like we have to get rid of that. The companies that own companies that determine what they do, right? It's like no one's ultimately responsible because everyone's got their hand in everyone's ass telling everyone else what to do, and it's all based on money. Well, you know what? I think Letitia James actually gave it away. Uh, who said that? Angie. So I don't have it for you, but I watched this video of Letitia James. Okay, and she said we had Project 2025, and we took Project 2025 and we distributed it to all 50 states, and we helped all 50 states prepare for this regime. And who's got our back? Like who's winning for us every fucking day? The courts. So I know everybody wakes up every day and you're feeling oppressed. Fascism is here. Yeah. He ain't winning shit. This man has been in office less than 4 months and he's still stuck on 5 pieces of legislation, one of which was stopping the production of the penny. Oh my God, Don. One was a continuing spending resolution, one was the Lake and Riley Act. No, none of those things. Get tech out of my money. Get AI out. By the way, 8647. Everybody's wondering what should be like the little hashtag, the little theme. The chant, if it were 8647. Morning, Steve. Cheers. And if I were a parent, I would be very cognizant of the way these universities and who these universities are that are doxing their students, that are suspending students, holding up degrees, right? Did you hear about this valedictorian speaker uh, at NYU? All he did was acknowledge the tragedy in Gaza, and actually didn't make a deflammatory an inflammatory statement. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And NYU's holding his degree. Hmm. So we got about 30 people here. Remember, one of the things I do anytime I know I've got a bunch of people listen to me is say, "Hey, you got to get 8 hours of sleep a night, and you probably need to take a nap." The thing about it is he's not actually overwhelming the court system. So The problem is that the first half of your sentence is incorrect. The second half is correct, though. Their idea is that the court system takes too long and we can overwhelm it. You can't overwhelm the court, and they don't take too long. So, justice is timely. It just doesn't seem like it because you are cherry picking. You want your justice, you want to exact your revenge now. And that's not the way law enforcement has ever worked. Ever. That's not the way the court system's ever worked. It's not the way I perceive it. He gets sued every day. He's been in court every day since he got elected. What do you mean? He's been ruled against twice unanimously by the Supreme Court already. Already. What do you mean it doesn't move fast enough? Come on, y'all. We're cherry picking justice. We're trying to like say we're not getting our flavor of justice. Dude, he's losing. Every fucking day. He loses all day, every day, and he covers it up with golf and trying to one up himself. He's a fucking loser. He loses every day. He loses every fucking day. And I'm going to say it every day. You can sit on your end and type out how horrified you are, and I'm going to sit here and tell you he's passed 5 pieces of legislation. Executive orders and presidential orders, not law, not taken as law. And if you break a law and you try to say, Donald Trump's presidential order says so, guess what? You lose. It's a setup. It's a setup. They're daring him to do it. Now, are they getting taken down in the fucking street and shit? No. But to say that there's no accountability that's silly. Donald Trump gets sued every day, loses every day. Has been ruled against by the Supreme Court. Like, think about what we're saying. I'm sitting here saying the highest court in the land has ruled unanimously against Donald Trump twice. You are saying justice isn't moving fast enough for me. And I'm like, the highest court in the land has ruled against him twice, and he gets sued every day and loses all the time. What are we talking about? Show me a win. What does a win for Donald Trump look like? Because it sounds like air to me. It sounds a lot like air. Jesus Christ. You want to know how we're being governed? Bravo said, "What is your goal here today?" What do you mean? This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. So you'll notice that there are links in the chat from the relevant news stories. Like, for example, the current administration brushed up on world affairs by watching Netflix documentaries. I think that's relevant given the way we're being governed. So, what would you say your goal is here today? Because my goal is the same, Pinky. Take over the world. I preach patience to my customers, so I get it. I get it. We want action, boys, action, right? I feel that. I feel that. To be honest with you, through this whole thing, I haven't really been upset through this whole process until I found out that 9 people have died in ICE custody. Mm-hmm. And they're asking for increased funding. I want to continue to point out Avelo Airlines. Make sure if your 401k is invested in that airline that you divest. Avelo Airlines, they're the ones doing the deportation flights. You know, Donald Trump typically ends up screwing somebody in the end. And if you think he's paying for these flights with his own money and leaving a paper trail, come on, he's not doing that. So somebody's going to get screwed. But just know, like up front, we know. We know. We know. But yeah, somebody asked, like, what's your goal here today? I don't know. I don't know. I know that it feels like we're aimless. But honestly, like what I do is I look for news stories and I post them and we talk about them. It's like talking to your dad about politics, except he's not a raging racist, sexist, all the things I try not to be, right? Somebody said, "Let's go Knicks." Cool. Right on. Hey, you got to get through Boston first. You got to get through Boston first. Or did we already do that? Did you already win? Yeah. Yeah. New York Knicks lead 3-2. They play tonight at 8. Hey, I here's the thing. I think the sports world wants to see Pacers Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals again. It feels right. But not like this. Not like this. And again, don't sleep on Boston. Don't hey. I'm just saying, just all I'm saying is don't put all your eggs in one basket there. I know the CC said Nixon wasn't even as bad as this, Jared. No, like all the more reason to be upset. Like I said, I wasn't really that upset about this entire shit until I realized 9 people had died in custody. Tornadoes are coming. Just remember, you are not separate from God, you are God. I also do not believe in a God. I think that that's silly. I know, right? Bob said Celtics pulled the win. I couldn't watch. I know if I was a Celtics fan, I would have had a hard time watching the game without Jason Tatum in it too, because he's really good. He's really good. But the Celtics are well coached, so they're gonna be tough. But them Pacers, boy, I did share that, right? The the current administration brushed up on foreign affairs by watching Netflix documentaries. Okay, I mean, okay. Oh, the cartel. Yeah, that's pretty troubling too. But again, it is like family members of cartel members. And remember, every act isn't meant. Success is not the goal. It's chaos. It's cruelty. Remember, these things are features, not bugs. I can imagine watching Nam every day on TV. It was hard to watch. Here's Burn Dog saying if you sit back and do nothing, they'll take it all. Yeah, I told, I've spoke to several Vietnam veterans in my time, and one of the things that they've lamented to me is the bitterness they felt coming home from Vietnam and being protested against. Um, he said, "Damn Pacers, you Cleveland fan, Greg." Yeah, that was tough. It was one of those things. Talk shit, get hit kind of moments for Cleveland. Um, there are certain basketball players on earth that you just want them to have an average day. Don't piss them off because once they're mad, nah, it's not as fun. They're gonna kill you. It's over, and that's what happened in that Pacers Cavs series. Is that they jaw jacked a little too much with Halliburton, and he was just like, you know what? How about five threes in 6 minutes? Oh, you have a 20-point lead. Now you want to chirp? How about five threes in 6 minutes, and now it's a 2 point game on your court at your house, right? That's because that's how that game went, right? So a little gentleman's sweep gave you one, and otherwise, right? I was getting a little pissed because both Mitchell and Garland were both injured, and they both kept driving and trying to get fouled, and that's such an awful strategy. Um, the fact that they literally were admitting we cannot hit the broadside of a barn. Um, yeah, the thing I remember about coming home from the Marine Corps is that lots of people that I cared about, all they wanted to know is if I killed someone. Did you hurt anyone? And even though I'm not a war hero, didn't go to Iraq or Afghanistan. I got real lucky. We got selected for 26 MEU. Remember I told you, heavy is the head that wears a crown, right? I wouldn't be a shell of myself if I had experienced all that I've experienced, and I also uh, took life. And the funny thing about it is like because I'm a grown adult that doesn't feel the need to aggrandize or like conflate my military service. Yeah, he was. Jason Tatum was playing it incredibly before you got hurt. Because those were actually, my friends. Those are my fellow Marines that I served with. I can't imagine being them and somebody asking, "Are you a combat veteran?" and them saying yes, and it having an impact on your relationship forever. Because, like I've said, I've had many people that I know and care about that have asked me like, "Did you take someone's life?" And no, I did not. And them not fuck with you ever, right? Because they don't believe you, you know? You can't have been in the military during a time of war and actually been in the fleet, Jared, and you didn't go to Iraq or Afghanistan. And I just get to say, no, you're a stupid cunt. It's called a MEU, Marine Expeditionary Unit. It's also called a PUC, a Presidential Unit Citation, and 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines earned the Presidential Unit Citation before me. Hmm. So those are the people I worked for. I always tell people, like, I'm not a war hero, but I know some. If we do good enough, we might meet them. They might come the fuck around. But heavy is the head that wears the crown, and I can assure you, had I would be a shell of myself. I still think I am a shell of myself because my battle buddy died while I was on active duty. The Marine Corps tried him under the UCMJ because they did an autopsy and found drugs and cocaine in his system posthumously. Mm-hmm. Yep. And they took away his SGLI, the life insurance policy that you get if you die while you're on active duty. They took away his SGLI, and they gave him an other than honorable discharge. And I was fucking baffled, right, and real sad for over a decade because I thought that they told me that RJ did it to himself, that he intentionally OD'd for over a decade. Then one day his wife called me. Her name's Paola. And she said, hey, we went through Wounded Warrior Project to try to get RJ's other than honorable discharge overturned, and they denied us. Will you go to Wounded Warrior Project and try to do what you can do to get RJ's other than honorable discharge overturned? And again, do you know what happened? The Wounded Warrior Project was like, no, you're fucked up. You need to apply for benefits. We'll help you. And I was like, okay, we can do that, but does that actually help with RJ? And they were like, oh no, that's not getting you money. That's not getting you benefits. We don't give a fuck about that. You're fucked up. We need to help you. That was what I got from Wounded Warrior Project was your Wounded Warrior Project benefits are not to get your buddy, right? And for the record, my life would be a lot harder, but I would give my benefits for his discharge in a heartbeat. I would force myself to work even harder. If it meant that he had an honorable discharge, which means that his family is eligible for benefits. Yeah. So that's what drives me. That's my why. Is that no, I don't hang my head in shame for my time in service. I would hang my head in shame if I just ignored the situation and said he deserved it or something and just moved on. I don't actually know how you're supposed to move on from my battle buddy, my roommate, my best friend died while I was on active duty. And instead of him just getting an honorable discharge, it was an accidental death, or in his case, he was actually murdered. They just gave him other than honorable and said that he did it to himself. And they also told me that effectively that he killed himself. And for over 10 years, I was a completely different person. For over 10 years after I came home. I was very sad, very depressed, very detached. And then, as I've said, in the summer of 2018, Paola got into contact with me, and I've spent every day since in a new hell. Where now I know that my battle buddy was murdered. I know who did it. They're still a free person. RJ's not even the only victim. And it doesn't matter who you tell. Because law enforcement's not there to solve stuff like that. That's not their job. That's not what they're for. So who's going to help us? Now, I just happen to think changing someone's discharge from dishonorable to honorable is a stroke of a pen. And so I had to search within myself. Instead of lashing out violently, which is frequently what men do when confronted with a problem that they themselves cannot directly resolve, I chose football. And I said, I played this game since I was in third grade all the way through high school. And was part of Purdue's football program for 2 years. I played while I was on active duty. I played flag football leagues for a decade after I came home. My last played football at 38 years old. I was still playing quarterback, semi-pro. Um, I'm gonna become a great football coach. And I spent the last several years training to do that. And again, why? Why the fuck would you do that? I make $1,000 a day at my job. Why the fuck would you try to go be a football coach? For the platform. Anyone will listen to a good football coach. They'll even do the fucking bidding of their football coach. But what if like one day I end up like, I don't know, head coach at the Naval Academy or something? You think if that program that's been on the fringe of being relevant for fucking ever, you think all of a sudden they start, I don't know, going undefeated, being a top 10, 15 program in the country, making it to the BCS Championship Series and actually winning fucking games in that tournament? You think that they're not going to ask what drives and motivates you every day? Head coach of, Navy midshipmen in that fucking fantasy. And again, you get to tell someone into a big ass microphone that a bunch of people are going to fucking hear. One of the best coaches in football, what drives them is not in them. It's not about them. Which again is something I've known since I was like 15. That it is not about me. Hmm? It is decidedly not about me. And like S&M said, I sleep like a fucking baby. What are you talking about? I'm a good person. I didn't do anything wrong. That isn't to say I haven't done wrong, or I haven't hurt someone, or I haven't lied in my life. I think that's my sin. That's what I do is I lie. The thing about it is I'm cognizant of it. And when you're highly cognizant of the fact that you have a tendency to lie, I like to put myself in situations where lying will lose you a job. I try to put myself in situations where lying will cost you. It has a heavy penalty. Hell yeah, go Navy. And the thing about it is my wife has asked me, because she's realized if he really wants to do something, he'll make it fucking happen. So my wife has asked me several times, what's going to happen when you get your way? How are you going to behave when the Marine Corps does overturn his discharge? And they're like, hey, thanks for bringing this great injustice to us, and like spending your life's work trying to make this the focal point of your motivation. We fixed it for you. We march on. Like, we just keep fucking going. Nothing fucking changed. It's, oh, mission complete? Perfect. I'm sure there's something else to do. Trust. There will have been mission that we picked up along the way that are just as important, if not more important, right? But for me personally, what drives me? What's that statement about there is no greater love than this, that a man should lay down his life for his friends. I believe that's in your Bible. John 15:13, I believe. Bob said he's a Navy and Notre Dame. Yeah. So I'm Purdue. So fuck Notre Dame. I'm a Purdue fan because that's my fucking alma mater. Um, but growing up, if you weren't watching Navy, Notre Dame, or like the top programs on TV, but now you get older, and now you can just watch everyone play everywhere. Everyone's on TV somewhere, right? So I grew up. When I got into college football, I was a Miami fan. So I grew up a Miami fan, but I knew at 15 that I was going to Purdue. I knew before I could drive a car, I was going to Purdue. And not on some fucking Notre Dame shit. Just I got a really good SAT score and they came to recruit a football player at our school. His name was Justin Heatberg. He was the best football player I'd ever seen in my life. He went to my high school, played offensive and defensive line. He was a horrible person, but he was goddamn amazing on the football field. He was a dick. As soon as he stepped off the field, prick. But keep him in a fucking helmet and shoulder pads, and that motherfucker's crazy. Um, but Purdue came to recruit him when we were freshmen. And the week that Purdue came, he played in the freshman JV and varsity game. That week, he played in 3 football games in 1 week. And Purdue actually left at halftime, I believe, of the JV game. They didn't actually even fucking stay for the varsity tilt because they were like, we've seen enough. Kid's totally a massive, and he's capable, and he's a really good athlete, and they're fawning over Justin Heberg. And when I'm Bruce Fields, when Joe Tiller stood up and turned around and said, "What's his GPA?" The His mom said 2.1 or something like that. You should have seen his face. Joe Tiller couldn't have got out of there fast enough. I was on the field, so I remember looking up at the JV game and seeing, oh, there's Purdue's staff getting the fuck out, right? Like they were moving real quick. And my mom ran and chased Joe Tiller down and said, my son has a 3.86 GPA and he had just got a 1510 on the SAT and he's 6 foot 200 pounds. And and this is when I was like 15 years old. And Joe Tiller is like waved me over there. I'm this young kid. I'm not even playing in this JV game. I ain't good enough. And he shook my hand. And he's like, "You're Jared?" And I was like, "I am." And he was just like, "I'm Coach Tiller. Nice to meet you." And I was like, "It's nice to meet you, sir." And he said, "I expect to see you at Purdue." And turned around and walked away. And I'm telling you, sold. Like, okay, yeah, I'll be there, no problem. I went to Purdue, but that happened when I was like 15 years old. So I think like my whole life is like way different because they weren't there for me. So it wasn't like they were recruiting me to play football. It was like it made it so their trip didn't suck so bad that maybe we got a kid to go to Purdue out of it. That'll go pay tuition. That's what I was seen as, not as a replacement for him. Not a chance in hell. Again, Justin was incredible, but I think we've been here for too long. Yeah, I got shit to do today. Sorry. We tend to be a little long winded. But y'all have a great weekend. I'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll talk about what batshit crazy decisions that this regime tries to make today, and understand that's mostly hooey, actually, mostly hooey. Yeah, Bob, I was going to say that's so I was in therapy for years because I became a coach and I realized becoming a coach that I have like mental health issues that I need to address before I put myself around other people, right? Especially like kids that you're trying to impress upon, right? And my therapist at the VA that I met with for 4 years, by the way. Think about like that, getting to see the same person for the better part of 4 years. And one of the things that they told me was the average age of his patients was 68 years old. So not only do we not talk about it, but we tend to bottle it up our whole fucking life and not ever until it's affecting our health, right? 68 years old, like that's around the age people start to develop debilitating health complications. So they don't go get help until it's killing them. And it was killing you the whole time. Like it was crushing you the whole time. So if anything good ever happens to me, if I can be sort of a signal bearer, hey, let it be that I didn't achieve great success until I got a great deal of help from the VA, mental health care. I went through CBT1, CBT2, and was in CPT. Hmm. So understand, like, didn't even have to it didn't even have to hurt anybody myself to wind up needing mental health help from the VA as a result of my service. Didn't even have to do it myself. It just happened to me. I just want to remind people of that because people are always looking for a reason to dislike someone, but my service is not one of them. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not a bad guy. They medically separated me against my will and gave me a bunch of money, and I'm sure they thought I was just going to come back home and drink myself to death. I'm pretty sure that's what they figured would happen. I'm sure that's what happens. Hmm. And as I've told my spouse, I could have RJ's um, discharge resolved, and it doesn't change anything for me. It doesn't. Oh, my life mission is complete. No, I have plenty to do. But this is what is driving me because I think it's the most out of reach, right? But there's a lot of things that motivate me. But what is like truly driving you? Yeah. Think about this though. As I leave, I just had this thought. The party of small government is trying to force people to have kids, force people to serve, right? And make sure them boys go to college. Go to college. Hey, go to college or go to the fucking Marine Corps infantry. I would want my children either to do not serve, go to college, get a 4 year degree in a career field that you want to work in. Are you an artist, a musician, a teacher, whatever? Get a 4 year degree in that. Otherwise, tip of the spear, Marine Corps infantry, like you want to put yourself in a place to prepare for great danger. That's what I foresee. I wish the world wasn't that way. I wish I could just say army. Have a good one. That's funny to me. It's not funny to anyone else, but it is funny to me. Have a good one. Don't Don't worry about that. You don't worry about the cost of going to college. It's not your cost to bear. I mean, you're a parent and all that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. What you got to be focused on is grades, test scores, right? Being supportive of them. Don't I get it that you've got this fear about like not being able to afford it, but don't focus on the things that you can control. You can help them get good grades. You can help put them in the best possible position to be successful, right? Because you can't do anything about the rising cost of college, but you could make them get good enough of grades to go to Harvard, where Harvard says if you make under 200K, the kids go for free, right? And as I've said, universal education is on the rise. University of Texas already has free education, and it's all like income based. But you're talking about not being able to afford the shit, so can you afford it or not? Because if you can't afford it, it sounds like you got University of Texas and fucking MIT and fucking Harvard, and it sounds like those are reachable, right? I can't necessarily make college affordable, but I can say here's three major schools that require brains to go to. That if you don't make enough money, you go there for free. I would I would be aiming for that. That seems achievable and reachable and doable, right? Fuck a scholarship though. Them scholarships don't always come through. But I would not let the cost of college, I don't care who you are, do not let that stop you from getting a degree. Because if you think you are broke now, if you think you're broke now, stay without an education for another decade. It's going to get worse, right? But get a degree. Get a degree. But yeah, absolutely. Everyone deserves peace unless you sow discord, and not this